Welcome back to Basic Bananas Radio, where we share tried and tested ways to grow your brand and get more customers. Everything from the latest in marketing and branding, right through to growing your team and creating an irresistible culture. Welcome back to Basic Bananas Radio. This is Christo here. In this episode, I talk with Robb Evans. Robb has a really interesting story, crazy challenges that he's overcome in his life, and the lessons learned and things that can be applied to most people, to you as a listener, and really interesting, insights that Robb shares as well. Robb himself is an entrepreneur, an investor. He's a transformation coach. He's a health strategist. He's an author. He has a podcast with over 3,600 episodes, published in 70 countries. So he's had A-listers, celebrities on his podcast. He's had Olympic gold medalists, appeared in media all around the world, and very highly regarded as in the health and fitness industry. So really a lot of knowledge himself as an entrepreneur and health trainer, I guess health coach more than just a trainer. And really crazy story. So it's a really powerful episode. I won't go into it too much now. Just dive in, keep it rolling, and enjoy the show. If you do have any questions, feel free to send them through to the team at basicbananas.com. And we have shared, there are a few links mentioned in the episode. You can find those links in the show notes, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Enjoy the show. Robb, thank you very much for joining me.
A pleasure to be here, Christo.
Amazing. And so you've got a crazy story and, a lot of awesome experience as well. And we are just chatting prior to starting, which way do we go? There's so much knowledge that you could share with our audience. What I thought would be awesome is if just give us a bit of your story, because you've got a lot of experience in the health industry, and then a really interesting, life stories and challenges that you've overcome that, I think would be awesome to hear if that's something you're comfortable sharing.
Sure thing. Well, let me try and give you the back of the napkin type description of my experience to this date. So I'm based in Melbourne, Australia. I was brought up in Bendigo, Victoria here, central Victoria. I wanted to become a chartered accountant. So I became a chartered accountant, worked for Coops and Lybrand before it was PwC. Worked across different very big brands here in Australia over the next 19 years. And along that journey, I realized that I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to use my chartered accounting skills. I suppose most people think of chartered accountants as working in tax and that kind of stuff. I didn't do that. I went through the audit stream and then various management roles to senior management when I finished. And it was along that journey I realized that I didn't like the culture of big business, certainly back in the early 90s when I first started. And I was dealing with these executives and directors and people like that just they weren't living their best life. They had a big waistline. They were stressed out. They were overworked. They didn't seem to be enjoying it, but kind of, how can I say, they seem to have liked the lifestyle that they had built by virtue of the income that they were then getting by a virtue of the high stress jobs. And I thought, you know what, I've been training myself, like strength training and stuff. I started out in bodybuilding and powerlifting in 1988. And that's something that I'd always loved. And I'd never really thought, how can I turn my passion into profits, if you like? And in 2007, so I'm 17 years into business, into corporate then. I thought, why don't I do this? Why don't I train and, train people and that kind of stuff? And it was at a time in my life where doing a bit of a life change with my, now ex-wife, but wife at the time, we'd had kids and she wanted to return to work. I really wanted to spend more time with my kids and have them remember what they did with their dad and that kind of stuff. I don't remember doing anything with my dad, and it was in an era where it was kind of hands-off dad, and the mother was left to raise the children and do all that kind of stuff. And I just didn't want that for my kids. And so we kind of did a swap. She went back to work more. I think she was going 4 days a week. I was setting up my business kind of in the late afternoons, nap time for the kids and evenings. And then I was the full-time dad there for a couple of years and set up the business. And the more and more I got into my business, I wanted to spend more time doing that. We lived on an acreage, like 2.5 acres. There's a lot of time, particularly this time of the year, maintaining it. And I just wanted to spend more time in the business. And around that same sort of time, I ended up getting divorced and then going all in on the business. The irony was, I this sounds really stupid if I sound it out loud, but maybe there's some business owners that can relate to it. I didn't want to work hard. I thought I'm smart. I've worked the big lifestyle and stuff. And to be honest, that was my decision to leave the marriage. And it wasn't like just that. It was like 6 years in the making. And um, I felt that we had both worked really hard to get to a point in our life where we were kind of scaling back our careers and hours and everything because we were building this great lifestyle and so forth. And I carried some resentment for quite a while. If I could be blunt, just say I blamed my wife for putting me in this position where I now needed to work hard, which sounds so stupid when you say it out loud, but I think it's important because we have these things that run around in our head. And I said, "Do you know what? You got to get over this." And there was a gift in that because I've never had to work as hard in my life as I've ever worked in that time. Like it was really
Right.
tough time, stressful on me. The financial pressure, you go from being really comfortable, really well off, to whatever half of that looks like. And even though we're in still good financial positions, we weren't where I ever dreamed I would be in that position. So I had to work harder than I ever had before, but that's where the growth was. So there was a lot of growth in that. And I just realized that, going back a step, that I could have a greater impact on humanity by changing people's lives as opposed to like saving big business dollars and doing that
Mm.
kind of work and what I was doing in my role. And it's been so much more rewarding. So in 2009, I just stepped away from working corporately full time to running my business full time. And so, yeah, I run a health and fitness business. It's like over the 15 years, you think, man, how much things have changed over that time. I now work with people around the world, something that I never conceived that would be possible. But believe it or not, COVID actually opened people's eyes more to that, and my mind too, as to how to work differently. Being locked down more than any other city in the world here, we had to do other things differently. And yeah, that career process for me was super, super powerful. And I wouldn't have the impact that I have on people now if I hadn't gone through corporate. And it's given me so much experience and exposure to so many great people. And then on my personal journey in business, I've had a number of different coaches. I now have the world's number one wealth and business coach. And he's just changed the DNA of my thinking altogether. And I'm now more focused, I'm more energized. I enjoy things more than I ever have before because of how hard and how focused I am. I know exactly what I'm doing every single day. I know I'm doing the right thing. And I also know that at age 56, I haven't reached my potential yet. Still haven't reached that peak. There's still more to come. So that's
Awesome.
kind of that was more like a whole packet of napkins right there. But that
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of the career as to how I got to where I am now.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Some really good insights in there as well. And it's interesting the just what you were saying right at the end there about you're actually working hard because you said it's like you're more fulfilled, you're more happy, and you're working hard at the same time, but you know what you're working on, which I think
Yeah.
is a big part. When people are scattered, they can be working hard, but it's not fulfilling. But if you know what you're working for and you know what you're working towards, and there's clarity, there can be hard work, but at the same time, it actually feels good.
Yeah,
Um,
I think what I love about what I do with health and fitness and wellness, nutrition, mindset, I put all that into the one bucket. That as your foundation and the process to say optimize your health, you use those same principles for every area of success in your life. Because let's say that you've gone on a weight loss journey and you've transformed yourself. If you look at, if you've done it in a healthy, sustainable way, if you look at what is required to achieve that and maintain that, that is exactly like success. Nothing comes overnight. You don't go from, oh, wow, Christo, he's gone from a nothing to an overnight success. Like you're surfing, I'm sure you weren't like, oh, one day I'm just, nobody knows me. And hey, I just won a world title. Everybody knows me just overnight because, I just decided to enter and bang,
Yeah.
Olympic gold medal. Bang, done. Look at me. It doesn't happen. It's years and years and decades of really hard work. And that's what I love about the transformations that I get with clients. And then as we're on that pathway, you can't help but explore other areas of their life because it's like, well, what's holding you back? A lot of
Mm,
times it's relationships. Sometimes it's the careers. Sometimes it's their mindset around wealth creation. But I do believe that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And for the person that flip-flops with diets and all that kind of stuff, I guarantee you they'll be doing that in other parts of their life as well. And so when you know that every day that you're taking an action and you know that you're working in the right direction, you're moving in the right space, as opposed to, well, I see people all the time in the gym. Well, why don't I just do this today? And then next session, oh, why don't I just do this today? Oh, that's not working. Why don't we try this? Same with the food. It's like, oh, let's try keto. Let's try paleo. Let's try,
mm,
intermittent fasting. Let's do this. It's like, no, get the right person that can work out what's best for you and you stick with it and just accept that it's going to be hard work, possibly harder than you thought it was going to be, particularly business. And it's going to take longer than probably you thought, but the work makes it so much more rewarding. And I think that's the part with small business where you think, oh, it's this next week, this better than anyone, like in marketing. Oh, I just do this one video and my whole world will change. This one marketing campaign. It's never going to be one video, one marketing campaign. It's going to be a series of consistency things with the right messaging and all that kind of stuff. And I think
mm.
that's the hardest thing with, I think, getting your head around in business. It's like there's no shortcut. You've got to do the work. And if you're in business, it's got to be 7 days. Your mindset has to be 7 days.
Yeah, we get it all the time. I get it all the time. People saying, look, I just need like the big idea, like to transform my business. I just, can you just have a look at me? I don't necessarily want to do like the full work with you guys and all this, but could you just, have a sit down and just tell me like the one thing I need to do to like, yeah.
Sure, let me just get out my magic wand. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
bang, there you go. Done.
Yeah. And
$50,000.
it's like I always have the exact same response as you've said. It's not one big thing. It's a number of little things that we do over time that will result in a big shift. And often you'll have a hard time even pinpointing the thing that we did because it's, oh, you updated something on the homepage of the website. Yeah, but that's because we updated part of your brand, part of your tagline, part of the sequence of, the customers buying sequence and the funnels and things like there's a lot that's happened and can be hard. It's not just that we changed a price or something, but
I
yeah.
just recorded like my own podcast today where I was saying, so it's 15 years this year that I've been in business. And there were things that I'm doing now that I never conceived of, and things that I would have loved to have happened when I just opened business.
Mm,
But the things that are happening now kind of seamlessly, where, the big media outlets and TV and everything, they reach out to me, but it's taken 13 years of consistency to do the
yeah,
things that I do in order to get to that position.
yeah, yeah. And so we get a lot of people that experience challenge in business. They've got like the ups
Mm,
and downs, the day to day. There's families, there's personal health. There's like, obviously with you, we'll get into maybe a little bit of, I don't know,
mm,
everyone loves a bit of specific, like what can I do for health or balancing my stress? You overcome challenges that most people wouldn't ever want
mm.
to deal with. Like hats off to you. I have no idea how you've managed that, and still being, like able to show up and do what you do. Like massive acknowledgement to you. I don't know how comfortable you are sharing a bit around, the challenges
Yeah,
you have with
sure.
family and so
Well,
on.
I suppose a little bit of background, probably one of my greatest weaknesses as I was growing up and trying to find my place in the world. I was bullied, picked on.
Mm,
I'm a short guy. I'm 165 centimeters. I was always the shortest in the school. I had no friends. I wasn't good at school. I wasn't good at sport. I was too little for the sports that I love, like footy and cricket and stuff. And so I was an easy target. And like for decades, I worked on my own self-image and all that kind of stuff to try and build my resilience. So um, my mental toughness was not so tough. But because of everything that's happened now, it is my greatest strength. And what you're referring to is I mean, we go through life trying to raise our kids in the best way that we can, and I help transform people as a living. And I've got two girls. My youngest one, Olivia, when she was around 13, she developed an eating disorder, and that quickly escalated. And there's so much work that goes into the treatment of eating disorders. It's a mental health, disorder. Anyway, fast forward 28th of April, 2023, she lost her life to it. And, it was a 2-year battle, 40 hospital admissions, like so much trauma for her. And I spent her mum and I are co-parent as she lives like locally to me. And, we were in multiple conversations every single day, just trying to keep her alive in and out of hospital and all that kind of stuff, trying to understand what's going on for her. It took her 18 months to really get to a point where she started talking about what caused it. And unfortunately, an all too often sad story where she was bullied at school. She was body shamed. She was food shamed. If I don't even know that's a real thing, but she was shamed over eating a banana, which is like, what?
what? Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
like, you're going to get fat, you're fat, or what are you eating, and the kid's ganging up on her and all that kind of stuff. And she just couldn't talk about it. And 18 months in, it was so entrenched in her that she felt that, she couldn't escape from it as much help as we gave her. And, as a parent, I got blamed for her illness to start with because I work in health and fitness. No one ever asked me how I work with clients or anything like that. And
Mm,
Liv used to say, my dad is probably uh, my saving grace and the person that helps me the most in getting out all of this. But it's just all kinds of senior doctors, professionals, and everything blamed me for it. Probably still do for her death. And Liv and I knew what the reality was, the truth of all of that was, but as a parent, you can't help but say, do you know what? I changed people's lives, but I couldn't even save my own daughters. And as you could probably imagine, the internal conversations you have with yourself around that and the heartbreak and the heartache and everything. And it's like we shouldn't be losing our children. And I went on a quest then in the coming days. I mean, you don't know what the heck do you do? You just lost your child and you've gone from 24/7, like watching her, caring for her, and then just in a moment, that all stops and changes. And I don't know, it's an empty feeling. I still recorded a podcast every single day. That podcast I recorded was the number one podcast at the time, that episode.
wow.
Um, I don't know, 680 something. I think I called it She's Gone on Broken. And I had to drive back to the hospital like over an hour to go back the next day to sign some paperwork. And I was so angry that they didn't give us the paperwork the night before when we had to switch off our life support and stuff. And anyway, um, I was trying to work out what do you do? And so I thought one thing I know is that I've got to look after myself. And the last thing that Liv would want is for me not to be looking after myself. And so I wasn't able to do strength training. I wasn't really able to. I was eating, normally I eat 6 times a day. I was probably eating maybe twice, maybe three times. It's like you're lost. You're trying to find a way through it. I'm trying to navigate for my eldest daughter to make sure she's okay and she can get some, counseling help and everything that
Mm.
she needs right away. I was also worrying about her mum, making sure that she was okay as well. And then you've got, because of her age and the way she passed away, it needed to go to the coroner and then dealing with all of that. And then what's next? And but yeah, just those end of life things that you need to take care of, memorial service, and she wanted to be cremated, and just so much. And in those few days, I'm out walking, and I think it was day two or three. I thought the only thing that really helped Liv was the dog therapy. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to see if we can raise $10,000 for dog therapy to help kids so that they don't have to deal with what Liv dealt with. So I ended up raising about $11,000 within a few days, really. And I met with the head doctor at Monash Children's here, where she spent most of her time, and the psychiatrist there. And I said, look, this is what I want to do. There's kids there right now. I said, I've got money right now, and there'll be kids screaming. I said, I don't want for every kid, but kids that are like Liv, that are high risk, let's give them the help that they need. Anyway, that stimulated a program with them which is self-funded. So I didn't have to give them any money. And so there's now a permanent dog therapy program in place on the ward where Liv spent most of her time that wasn't there before.
Wow.
I then, from there, kind of just, it was almost like Liv was on the phone to people to say, you need to speak to my dad. And I just reached out to different organizations. And what ended up happening was the day of Liv's memorial service, which is about a month after she passed away. You expect some closure from that. And I came home, and just as I walked in the door from that service, I got a phone call from her mum saying that Liv's just been mentioned in federal parliament. And I'm like, what? Like, what's the context? Who said it? What was said? Why, etc. Anyway, independent Zoe Daniel here in Victoria, somebody that had spent, one of the young girls that had spent some time with Liv in hospital, had reached out to her saying this is what was happening today.
Wow.
And on the back of that, the question in Parliament was, and the speech was about, there needs to be more funding. Now, what Zoe told me was that because she stood up in Parliament and spoke about Liv, that they put in an extra $50 million in funding for eating disorders because of Liv.
Wow. Wow.
So like, how incredible is that, right? And then from
Yeah.
that, I then reached out to Zoe, thanked her, met her. That's when she told me about that. And I was going from asking for introductions from one to the next. I didn't know what it was going to do, where it was going to take me. Within a few meetings, I met with Alfred Health here in Victoria. I said to them, I like to say to people, so what keeps you up at night? What's your biggest challenge right now? And great question to be asking, by the way. And they spoke to me about this in-home program for kids suffering from eating disorders. And I said, you know what, this makes me emotional because this program probably would have saved Liv's life. And I said, look, they were looking for 3.8 million. And I said, look, I don't know how, but I said, I'm going to get this program funded. And from that, I then went on a quest to speak to every politician under the sun. I got a letter back it was very nice actually, from the Prime Minister. I connected with every person from state and federally, health ministers, opposition leaders, all that kind of stuff. Fast forward 11 months, 10 months, and countless meetings later, we got $6.5 million of funding for the program.
Amazing.
And Alfred Health said, it's all because of you. Because they said, we've never had the health ministers visit here. They visited, they took a big risk. I think I know the exact meeting that I reached the right people that
Right.
actually made the decision, but we got 6.5 million. So when you look at across all of those things, it's like $56.511 million of funding, all because of Liv. And I'm only doing it because of her, and I call it her legacy. And that has helped me, I suppose. We always together, we spoke about when she was better, if she wanted me to help her raise awareness and solve this problem for others, then I would do that with her. And I guess I am now. It's just in a different, in a different way.
Still doing it with her, for
That's
sure.
right. And one thing is just leading to the next, like I mentioned about the media from Zoe Daniels standing up, that just opened up the floodgates. And so where I'm thinking, okay, I can now rest, become at peace with all this stuff. I had Channel 9 reach out. I had ABC reach out. I had like the Herald Sun, all the print media, magazines, all kinds of different media reach out to me. It was really overwhelming, to be honest, to start with. But I said yes to all things apart from a magazine deal, which I didn't like the terms of. And one thing led to the next, to the next, to the next. You search my name or Olivia Evans or Liv Evans eating disorders, and you will see so much stuff come up there right now. And then Channel 9 reached out to do a 4-part docuseries. Then 60 Minutes reached out to do a major story. And then Whipper and his team up in Sydney reached out from Nova to help support the 36-month project, which is about raising the age that our kids have access to social media from 13 to 16. I went on a crazy media blitz with them, interviewed by every TV network in Australia. And then China TV network reached out to me. And
Wow.
yeah, and then what Meta came out with their teen Insta accounts. And then all these media outlets are reaching out to me for comment. And, we talk about everything that I do, I have to be really careful now, because it's like, is the work that I'm doing as an advocate in the space of eating disorder recovery, is that consistent with my brand? Well, it is, and the way that I work with people. But I can't just go on a rant on, it's not my style anyway, as you can see the way that I show up here.
Yeah.
Very professional. I'm always like, okay, let's just think about this. Is this sending the right tone? But imagine if I went out there and said, oh, men is a bunch of wankers and, all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff, and just went on a rant, which isn't my style anyway. But if I did that, then that's going to be quoted by every outlet around the world potentially, and say, oh, Robb Evans of this says, Mark
Yeah. Yeah.
Zuckerberg is this, or Elon Musk is this, or whatever. So I have to be very, very careful to protect not only my personal brand, but my business brand, but also Liv's legacy. And so
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah.
anyone that comes to me to ask of something, because that's all people want something from you.
Mm.
And so I have to consider, well, does this match with the brand? And also, my eldest daughter, she's 19 now, and her mum, I always check with them first. I say, are you okay? Are you comfortable with me talking about this? Because I don't want to cause my eldest daughter any grief, or her mum as well. They just can't talk about it, whereas I can, because it's for the greater good.
Do you think, like, because social media come up, like, is it because everyone, like we all love Facebook, but we hate it and things, and you see people like bitch about Facebook, but they use Facebook as the platform to bitch about Facebook. I love those posts. I'm like, well, here you are getting you're on your platform, which is Facebook, you're using to bitch about Facebook. Like, it's like, it's just providing you with a platform. But what do you like, in all seriousness, like, do you, I guess a lot of parents, listen to these shows, and like, what are your thoughts, I guess, on social media, and like, where's okay for teenagers, where's not? Like, what age is a
Mm.
cutoff? Like, I know we're complex creatures, so there can be a lot of variables to this, but like, or a couple of just boundaries to put in place or something. I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts?
Well, social media did cause Liv challenges. She didn't get access to Instagram till 14.
Right.
She passed away at 15. And of
Wow.
course, if we knew all the information that we knew now, then we would do things differently. But of course you don't, because it's a journey that she was going on, and she wasn't talking about different things. It wasn't like, okay, let's do nothing. Like, she had 40 hospital admissions,
Mm.
so many different appointments and so forth, with whether they be therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, medicated options, or all of that kind of stuff. And little did we know that she was really using social media to learn how to become, I'll say, a better anorexic, meaning what are strategies that other anorexic young girls are sharing to cheat the system. And I mean, like, you've got to weigh a certain amount, you've got to pass blood sugar tests, all that kind of stuff. What are the cheat ways to do that? And then she was obviously looking for ways that she could end her life as well.
Oh, gosh.
Um, and all of these things very, 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 very serious. So we would have done things differently, knowing all of these things now. And she was diagnosed as being on the spectrum as well, a 20% high risk of being on the having an eating disorder. She was also celiac, which would have explained some of why her tummy was feeling the way that she was, and not understanding all of that as well. And if you understand you've got ASD, understand you think differently, she didn't fit in social situations. So we just would have done things differently and removed her from those bullying situations.
Mm,
Me personally, I think it's a real danger zone between, and this is all the feedback I get from parents as well. Like so on my TikTok account, for instance, the 60 minutes video that I put up there, I think it's up to about 236,000 views. And I don't know how many comments, but the comments I get from young girls that are struggling with an eating disorder, have just been diagnosed or have recovered, and parents and so
mm,
forth, they talk about the struggle they have with social media, whether their kids were cyberbullied. Liv wasn't cyberbullied. It was in person, as far as I know. She cleared out a lot of her history on her phone,
yeah,
so it's not possible. So some of it's anecdotal.
yeah.
But my personal feeling is those ages between 13 to 16, we're all trying to find an identity. Even as adults, you still
Mm,
find people, particularly business owners, they're trying to find, oh, so what's my identity? What's my authentic self? And looking on social media and say, oh, Christo's just posted this. He's down at the beach. He's doing this. Oh, I want to have the laptop surfboard lifestyle. It's like, well,
mm,
no, that's not your lifestyle either. But people can paint a perception of that, and then they think, oh, well, I'm not good enough. So whatever that does for their stuff. Our kids, they don't have, at that age, they really don't know what's real and what's not real, what's inauthentic. Like, Liv was looking at things that she would show me, these things where a young girl would say she's living off 200 calories a day, which is not possible to do that healthily or for a very long time. And so for me, I think they're the important years where they're still developing their identity and their own self-image and becoming comfortable. So personally, that's why I'm part of the 36 months project, which is, let's not give them access till they're 16 to any social media, or allow them the space to do more real, that's my cat,
hello,
um,
Kat.
do more real things with real people, have real conversations. Yes, is that controversial? It is for some, because they say, "Oh, well, my child manages social media well." Well, fantastic, but I don't think that is the majority of people. And if we just make, so what we're hearing from parents is, um, I don't know, Christo's 12 and he's got a mobile phone and he's got access to this, that, and
Mm,
the other, and so uh, at least it this way, say, do you know what? It's illegal. Just like you can with alcohol. So, do you know what? It's illegal. You can't. Not till
yeah,
18. Does that mean kids are drinking it before 18? Yes, there are. But if we can make it a rule, and same with driving, there's like 12-year-olds stealing cars and stuff here in Melbourne with no consequences, but it's still illegal. And so I think if we can make that safe platform for our kids, then I think it will be a much better place.
yeah, that's awesome. Awesome advice. Thank you. Thanks so much for sharing so openly, and the story, the things that you've been through. Like, I can't even comprehend. Like, I once again, hats off to you, just, still being there and here and showing up, and what a legacy you're creating, all together, of course. Amazing.
I
Amazing
think
to
what's
say.
really, really helped me, because you listen to it and say, oh, well, yeah, I'm going through that too, but I don't want to do media. I don't want to do that. I didn't know
Mm,
where it was going to take me. What I did know was that I needed to, the well of despair is so deep and bottomless that you can go down there forever and there is just zero good in it. There's just no good down there. So I talk about having the ability to cap the well and say, stop, I'm not going down there, and come up with a greater meaning for why the person is not here. And
Yeah.
I think about Liv, and obviously I miss her every day. I think about her every day. I wear a little bracelet with some of her ashes in it. I give it a kiss every day. I talk to her every day. I think about her every day. There are some days, particularly on weekends when you're less busy, where there'll be something happen and I have a good cry about it, because I just miss her, and we planned so many things to do into the future. She'd be 17 now, and she used to talk about positive things in her life, and I used to think, well, you know what, she's not suffering now, and hopefully, or whatever, I'm not religious, but I don't think everything just ends, and hopefully whatever it is she's doing, she's happy and she's carefree, and I know that she wouldn't want the people she leaves behind to be suffering and be thinking, sad thoughts of her, even though she knows that we would be sad, but
Yeah.
knowing that she's happy. And yeah, I think that however you language it to yourself, you've got to come up with a greater meaning, because we all have so much to give and so much to do, and you've got to find a way to be able to, push past it. I mean, I can never over overcome the fact that she's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
There will always be sadness, and look, to be honest, I think when my time comes, I'll be ready, because it's like I know I'll be with Liv.
Amazing.
And
What do you think? Like, just so people, because the listeners are all different stages of life, and it's inevitable at some point. It might not be as intense as your situation, that you've lived through, but you know, it hits the fan for all of us on some level at
mm,
at some point. There's things that happen. Obviously, we all hope we go in sequence that, of age. Like you hope your grandparents go first, the parents go
yep,
next, the children go. You hope it all falls. Um, like if someone's facing a challenge, just I guess a bit of advice, because you share so much through your podcast
yeah,
too. I'd love to learn more about those, and share with our listeners what you share on through those and the names of the different platforms, and also
sure,
just maybe like we all love a little, like, I'm in this situation, or something's coming up, or a challenge has come up, or something didn't go my way.
yep.
What would you say to people? Any things that
Yeah,
you
sure.
might
Yeah,
taught to
it's a
help?
good question. I think I've spent many years now, decades. I'm a little bit obsessed with success and studying success,
Mm.
and across any field. It could be, from Einstein through to an artist to, the people that we would all know as names now, your sports people, Hollywood actors, all of that. And if you study the people that are the best in the world at these things, the successful traits flow through across any field, and they all have an incredible passion for their craft. But the very first thing that really shook my world was around the work ethic side of things. I used to say when I was in corporate, I worked so hard, I need the weekend off, because I worked so hard. Now, it's not until you run a business that you realize, oh, is that what hard is? And
No weekends or public holidays anymore.
yeah, you just look at things differently, because it's your baby that you're nurturing and growing into something, and it really does have to be a 7-day proposition. That doesn't mean that we're talking a storefront where you're open 7 days a week and you're there 100% of the time. You may have staff in place if it's a shop front, but you and I don't have a shop front as such, but people are constantly wanting you, and that could be 24/7, because working with people around the world and everything. And what I have found is the foundation for me for success is health, right? And then how you define that for you. So over time, when I started back in 1988, I guarantee you I was not thinking about, yes, I want to be healthy and pain free. I just wanted to put on slabs of muscle. That's what I wanted to do. And that's what I did. But when I think about it now, staying in shape is still, like, physically, I say look good naked. That's still important for me. But the other aspects that I put into health are things like energy, right? If you've got energy and your focus, it's kind of which comes first, chicken or the egg. because without energy, you're not going to be focused for very long. So
Mm,
with energy and focus, you can do more of everything. And so then I like to attach work ethic in there as well. I've never been more focused or worked harder in my entire life than now. And it would be easy to be complacent, but I'm just keep on pushing and keep on pushing. But I put those three things into health, which I never would have before.
mm,
And so that means I do my strength training. I do three strength sessions a week. I go for walks. I don't do the intense cardio, hit training and stuff. I hate that, but I love getting out in nature and just going for a walk. And when I say nature, just in my local neighborhood, I live in suburbia, just getting out and in suburbia and walking. I do that every day. I'm drinking 3 liters of water a day. I take the key supplements, just basic ones for me. I'm eating 5 to 6 highly nutritious meals every single day. Plenty of plant-based food, not vegetarian or vegan, just plenty of plant-based food though, to get the nutrients from there. Because all that whole process helps me be energized, which then means I can remain focused and I get the coaching. I do things with my coach every single day. That to me is another part of health, which is continuous improvement. And if you
mm,
do all of those things and sleeping, so now I find that I perform best on about 7 hours sleep, but I'm probably getting 6.5 to 7 on average through the week. It takes me longer now to recover from workouts. I find that I just need more sleep. But doing all of those things help me become super, super healthy. And to me, that's the platform for success in whatever it is that I now do.
mm.
Right. And so if I'm going through the crap hitting the fan, I know that I cannot let my health go. So I have to keep on. I wasn't doing strength workouts for probably the first week. I was just walking and trying to eat after Live Past because it's like I need food. I was just hoping that I was recording on my podcast. Hey, if anyone wants to do anything for me, send me food. Can someone please? These are the meals that I like from, like a
Uh,
like
I
muscle
love it
shell.
because you also it's flipping like when the challenge hits, it's often when people's health slips even more because they're like, oh, well, to get to the healthy food, I've got to walk an extra 10 minutes or to, the quickest, easiest ones, the donuts downstairs
Yep.
or I'm annoyed with the challenge, so I'll eat, comfort eat.
That's
Um,
right. That's right. So if you're emotionally upset, your mental health has taken a hit. If you then go down that rabbit warren of emotional eating, fast food, all that kind of stuff, that then becomes a new habit. It's disempowering. Your energy starts to drop.
mm,
You start to then survive on stimulants, whether it be caffeine, energy drinks, trying to mask everything with alcohol at night just so you can get to sleep, maybe relying on sleeping tablets, maybe other stimulants to keep you going and stuff that you're then going down another rabbit warren that all disempowering behaviors, not empowering you and building your health as hard as it is. But that's very much like business, right? It's hard. What's easier? Oh, declare bankruptcy and go and open the same business the next day. No, what's harder is sticking by your obligations, taking ownership for it, and just finding a resolution for it. So I think for me, when it gets really tough, focus back in on your health. I think I'm a very focused individual. You need that coaching. You need someone like you around the marketing. So the person you said earlier that like, oh, can you just tell me that one thing and I'll just go and do the rest? Or somebody that is coming to you looking for the $1 million idea, it's not going to come. It's only going to come through the consistency of doing those things. So I think you've got to stop thinking that there's a quick fix. Stop trying to be someone else. Don't be the best, a better version than me or a better version of Christo. Be your best version. Compete against yourself. And I think if you are, no one can question if you, let's say, go to you, Christo, you're competing in a title and you come third. I think fantastic, but did you put in your best effort? And if you put in your best effort and got seventh, well done. But if you got third and you didn't put in your best effort, then I'd say, why? Why didn't you put in your best effort? What stopped you from doing that? Were you too complacent? Were you too tired? Were you, you know? what you didn't have your Red Bull that you were relying on there. Well, okay, what were you doing with your other nutrition? Well, I didn't have breakfast. Why didn't you have breakfast? And you unpack that and say, okay, here's the real problem, back here. And I think no one can fault anyone that has put in their best effort. And I think make you your biggest competitor. And I
Especially
think
yourself,
obviously
right?
what I'm talking about is a super stressful event that hopefully no one has to go through. But the same principles apply. It's a challenge, and that's a big one. But if you just say it's a challenge, and whatever that challenge is for you, then you've got to approach it that way. Focus on the things that are going to lift you up, empower you. And look, a lot of it is surrounding yourself with toxic energy as well. And sometimes that's in your relationships, your intimate relationships, unfortunately, family members. You've got to work out how do you manage that? Be in a room of people around, like the events that you run, that, it's really good energy, successful people. You will raise your standard up. You hang out with broke people and your standard will come down. You've always want to be hanging out in a better quality room.
Amazing. Awesome advice. I really, really appreciate it. I'm aware you're a busy man, so I don't want to, I'm sure we could pick your brain for the next 2 months straight, I'm sure, and we wouldn't draw a breath. We'd have to stop for those 6 meals a day. I'm impressed. I need to work
I'm
out my
about to
eating
go and
schedule.
have one.
There you go. Everyone else eating three, well, snacking and whatever else. I like it. Now, our listeners want to learn more about you. Where do we find out about, Robb Evans? Where do we subscribe to your podcast? What's the best
Yeah,
place to find
sure. Well, so as you can see with my background here, my main podcast was the one where I had you on as a guest, Christo, which is an amazing episode, and I put on my like my A-list celebrities and billionaires and so forth, the Mental Toughness and Body Show. It's available, anywhere where you get your podcast. It's free. I do another one which is called Robb Evans 365. I actually started that one first. I record 2 episodes a day, so one in each. I've done like 3,600 odd episodes now.
it?
That
Wow.
one's a little bit more cash, where I'm talking about, say, like a challenge that might be going on in my life, but I'm kind of talking about it in a different sort of way. So it's got a different sort of vibe to it. If people want to, so my main business is called Studios Personal Training. If you went to the mentaltoughnessandbodyshow.com or you go to studiospt.com.au, I offer a free consultation to anyone. Doesn't matter where you are around the world. I work with anyone. All you need is like a Zoom link or something. Some people come in just for a program design and then I fix them up from there. Some people do multiple sessions a week. Some people just do, once a week to, once a month, depending on where they are and what it is that they're looking for. But I like to say that I'm very different to others that are, like people think of a trainer. I like to think that I help people achieve their life strategies and do it through health and fitness mindset and accountability,
Mm,
because your health and wellness is the base, and then it goes into other areas. And like a lot of my clients stay 10 years and beyond because they just see the value in that I bring to their life. So you can connect with me. You can see my name there on the screen on any of the social media platforms. I'm on all of them. Just reach out, say you listen to this, and that what value we added to you, and yeah, just let's start a conversation.
amazing. Thank you. And we'll pop the links also in the show notes. So if you're listening to this episode while you're driving the car or something, you'll be able to open the wherever you listen to today's show, you'll be able to find the links there, in your mobile or wherever. So thanks again. Really, really appreciate it. And I'll look forward to connecting again soon.
Fantastic. Pleasure being on here.
To get more from Basic Bananas and to learn new ways to grow your business with clever marketing, visit basicbananas.com.